Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Sumukascha Yekadantascha Kapilo Gajakarnakaha Lambodharascha Vikato Vignarajo Vinayakaha Dhumaketurganadhyakshaha Palachandro Gajananaha Vakratundaha Surpakarno Herambaha Skandapurvajaha Shuklam Bharadharam Vishnum Safivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Yasya Dviratavakradhya Parishadhya Parasatam Vignam Nignanti Satatam Vishvaktenam Tamasraye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheswaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. With Swami's grace, let us continue where we left off. The most important question was asked by Parikshit to Sukha Muni. What is that one single action that the person who is facing imminent death, what that one action that he must do? Many people gave different answers. Finally, Sukha Muni arrived and he said, King, withdraw your mind from the world and place it on the lotus feet of Hari. And this is the Bhagavata Tattva. Then he turned around to all the rishis present there in the assembly and said, you all have read quite a lot. You all know very much. You also have done sadhana, but you have not experienced, realized the Bhagavata Tattva. That is what I am going to tell you. Then turning to the king, he explained, what is it placing your mind at the lotus feet of Bhagavan, Sri Hari, the most charming Shyama Sundara? What does it mean? How does one do that? So he took him through the process of dharana, the concentration, which is the very first step in meditation, in dhyanam. So he took him through the very first stage of dharana, how to do it. We covered that, and we should take it as a teaching from Sukha Muni to each one of us. Then we covered, Sukha Muni continued, and if you do this dharana this way, the dharana leads to dhyanam, and the dhyanam leads to samadhi. So what happens? You reach Paramapadam itself. There's no difference, and that's the quickest and the shortest and the easiest way is to focus your mind on the lotus feet of Bhagavan. Now, today we will cover what happened. Now, you also mentioned anapekshaha is one important word that came in yesterday's class. If you will again draw your attention to that. Anapekshaha, without any other desire, without any desire whatsoever. See, the moment I desire something, that takes me away from Bhagavan. But I have no desire other than the only desire is for the lotus feet. So anapekshaha, without desiring anything else that really belongs to others. It doesn't belong to me. The only thing that really belongs to me is the lotus feet. Because that is mine. That is actually my property. You can even call that. Bhagavan is my property. And people who do that, they achieve Paramapada. And we saw that in yesterday's last slokam, Param Gataha, Visrujete, giving up the body, Param Gataha, he reaches the supreme state itself. Tasmat Bhruvaha Antaram Unnayeta Niruddha Sapta Ayatanaha Anapekshaha Sitva Muhurta Ardham Akunda Drishtihi Nirbidhya Murdhan Visrujete Param Gataha. Just Muhurta Ardham Akunda Drishtihi, being with Bhagavan just for a moment, completely free of desire and totally involved in Him, will take you to this stage. That's all that He wants. And even to make it even easier in Kali Yuga, Swami has said, just to do this for 11 seconds continuously, not even that, not even like you need 22 minutes and 20 seconds and all that, as Ramana Maharishi did. Not necessary. Just 11 seconds you do that. That is enough. And that is the greatest teaching. People who do that achieve oneness with Bhagavan instantly. Now, what about others who do not do that, who do meditation, who do dharana, but still have desires left? What about them? Sukha Muni teaches that next. He says, however, he begins, people who are left with some materialistic desires of this world, what happens to them? How do they attain the lotus feet? And they also do, but that is a convoluted, a circumspect, a long a detour. That also it has its effect, and that's what we're going to cover today. People who are interested and still desirous of the material things in this world, they go through several phases in the world that is one of appearances and disappearances. What we call as you becoming means, we are all be, but we become something that we are really not. And therefore we have to go back. That Jagat, that universe, that Prakriti that is there has got several spheres, several layers or several levels of awareness and consciousness. And each one, yes, is different. And that is what the yogi who is involved in meditation, but still with the desires for the materialistic world, he goes through several regions. And then he desires the beautiful bliss of the Brahmaloka, for example. There's so much phenomenal beauty is there. Nobody falls sick. There are no worries there. So if those are the kind of things that we want, yes, you do go there. But they also disappear. They appear and disappear. They all have a time limit. But the master of yoga, one who is focused only on Bhagavan's lotus feet without desiring anything else, really becomes subtler than even the air. The subtle aspect that is present in air, he becomes that. Then there is no within or without. And the bliss that he gains and the goal that this yogi achieves cannot be achieved by people who are just doing ritualistic worships, even the Vedic worships, all the rituals prescribed in the Vedas who follow that, they cannot achieve this unless you get the knowledge, the jnanam, the tapas, the yoga and the samadhi. There is no shortcut. You've got to have that. Those people who achieve that, yoga, the tapas and samadhi and all that, the bliss they attain cannot be attained by people who do various worshipful rituals. So what happens to these yogis who are now mixed with some desires? They go through stages, and this is also described in Taittiriya Upanishad very beautifully. They first go through the Sushumna Nadi. It breaks open on keeping the company of love and prema. Don't forget that when we say Brahman, they become more and more loving, but the residual desires for the materialistic world still is there, like fame, like money, like position, like recognition, like awards. So many things are there. Okay, but with that, they still are becoming more and more loving. They are moving, keeping the company of Bhagavan, keeping the company of Brahman, Prema, and they first go through the consciousness of Agni, fire. What does it mean? We think Agni means immediately we think of a Homakundam and the fire burning there. No, that is not what Agni is. Agni is what manifests itself as a flame. The Agni is the one that pulverizes everything, removes all impurities. All impurities are removed by Agni. And that sphere, that level of consciousness first they achieve. Then they become purified of all their desires. Then they reach a level of consciousness that is called Sisumara. Sisumara means the crocodile. So what is the face of a crocodile? What does this mean? There are two ways that you should look at, and I will give you both, but also be careful in taking, because the heart is expanding, but our mind resists the expansion of the heart, right? And our intelligence kicks in. We want to understand everything, even though we know it is ununderstandable. But what happens on an understanding plane? If you look at the universe, there is a center, there is a pole star. We know that's the center of the universe. And you can also see something like a chakra of a Vishnu, that has got various galaxies and all that are shaped like the tail of a crocodile that is to and fro, like that, the wheels of a chakram, as they call it. And that area physically, but mentally and spiritually, you've gone beyond the physical manifestation. Still have some desires, you're still attached to Bhagavan. The consciousness has expanded, the heart has expanded, it becomes subtler than the subtlest, so subtle you are. Then you start past that, and once you come up to that level of Shishumara, then from there you move on to what is known as Maharlokam. Maharlokam, that is what the scriptures call that, which is extremely subtle. And this is where the great rishis like Bhrigu and all that are living here. But that also has got an end, because in Maharlokam, when you live there, still its end comes when there is pralayam takes place. At the end of Brahma's day, there is a pralayam. That's what's an intermediary pralayam, not the Mahapralayam. So at that time, these lokams also disappear. At that point, people like Bhrigu and people who are involved, the self-realized souls, they move to the Tapas Lokam. From the Maharlokam, they move to the Tapas Lokam. And from there, we go into the Sathya Lokam, which is a Lokam of Brahma. Brahma is a creative aspect and is nothing but selfless love. But it has no desires, there is no sufferings, no misery, there's no old age, there's no death, there's absolutely no kind of suffering at all. And in Sathya Lokam, except one painful feeling that people in that Lokam have. What is the painful feeling they have? The feeling that when they feel the pain that arises, that comes out of the sympathy for the people like us, for the various jivas that have taken birth in endless cycles of birth and death and not getting out of it. So they want to help us. That is the main painful feeling. Oh, these people are suffering, and because they don't understand where the exit door is, how to exit from here. So they feel that pain because we are suffering. That's the only thing that is there in that lokam. From there, from the Brahma Lokam, which is the highest state in the manifested, the created world, because that is the world, Lokam of Brahma, right? Brahma, the creator, the creating aspect. Then the yogi goes beyond it. At that point, the Prakriti, the nature has to be dissolved. There is no creation. Creation comes to a stop. Where creation stops, you are in utter bliss. The creation stops. And how does it happen? Because the awareness and the consciousness goes from the gross, which is what we are all identifying ourselves with, always with gross things. No. Go into subtler and subtler and subtler aspects of each one. And for example, the yogi identifies himself with the 5 elements. There is no difference. Right now we are thinking earth is different from us, air is different from us, right? We are not one with it. But when you become one with it, what happens? You become one with the Prithvi, which is earth. You become one with Apam, which is water. And not water means not, again, don't confuse. We have to be very careful. It is not the form of water we are talking of. No. That is a physical form. That will vanish. The essence, the cause of water. What is the quality of water? The quality is very subtle. Where does the quality come from? That's what you become one with. Then From there, you become one with the cause of fire, which is the cause for water is fire. So you become one with Agni, the Analam. Then you become one with Vayu, which is the cause for fire. Then one with Akasham itself, which is nothing but space. That becomes the all-pervading Brahman. You become one with it. There's no difference. That consciousness, that level of consciousness, this yogi attains as he gives up desire. Excuse me, could you all just make sure you pressed star 6 to mute? I see some noise in the background. Now, so keeping the company of love and becoming more and more loving and giving up desires progressively and developing an exclusive desire and attachment only for Bhagavan's lotus feet. This subtle consciousness, this subtle awareness happens. It does happen. And what the process, if it happens, is what Sukhamani describes. That's all it is that he's talking about in this way. Become one with everything. Then you also you become one with the quality of water, the quality of fire, the quality, the essence of air, essence of space. But then you transcend that also. The 5 elements, the Panchabhutanga also, the yogi transcends. Because all these are the 5 elements, are all objects of the 5 senses that we have. So he transcends thought. How does he do that, the yogi? For example, and this is something we can relate to personally. Now you're all hearing me speak, and you're using your ears to hear this. What are you actually hearing? You think you're hearing the Bhagavatam and then hearing various words and all that. No. See, this is the Maya that is taking place. What exactly is happening is you're hearing a sound. That's all the ear hears. Now, what is the essence of that sound? If I can merge into that sound itself, then where is the object of sound? I become one with the sound itself. When I take a sweet and enjoy the sweet piece of cake, for example, instead of thinking of it as cake and me enjoying it, if I focus and become one with the sweetness in it, then the sweetness in me and the cake become one. That is a beautiful experience. That's the kind of thing, but in a totality, the yogi experiences each sense organ. He merges that into the object of the sense through the quality that is present there in taste, in hearing, in seeing, everything. Then the yogi consciousness, the love, the heart is expanding onto even to a higher level of awareness and goes into ahamkaram, the I feeling that we have. All of us have the I feeling. But the I feeling that we have shows itself in different ways, doesn't it? Example, I do something. I'm aggressive, want to do something. I'm compelled, pulled to do something. And what is that? That I feeling is rajasic. If I'm lazy, if I misunderstand something, if I understand the wrong thing as a correct, what is that I feeling there? That is a tamasic. Now, same way, there is a sattvic ahamkaram also. And that is where we think of the various devas and want to do the worship. And still, I have the feeling I am worshipping, I am doing the puja, I have to do the various things, right, associated with the temple or the various religious activities, the nama sankirtanam, whatever we all do. What is the feeling? That I am doing it. That ahamkaram is sattvic ahamkaram. All these have to be given up. As Swami says, the shackles can be made out of bronze or silver or gold. It really doesn't matter. They are still shackles. So tamasic, rajasic, sattvic, they're all shackles only. So that is also he overcomes. And then, how does it happen? In a simple way, the whole essence is beautifully clarified in the following manner. These are all the way Sukha Munina explains it. Before I read the Slokams, I'm sharing the meaning of these various Slokams with you so that when we read the Slokams and understand the word by word meaning, that you are in tune with it. That's why I'm covering the meaning first. Very simple. Mahat Tattvam, the primal desire, which we talked about yesterday. And Ekoham Bahusyam, that Bhagavan himself has said that. It is not somebody else giving that lesson. No, it is Bhagavan himself. The Creator himself said, Ekoham, I am only one. Bahusyam, I became many. Why? Because I have this desire to give love and receive love, to give bliss and receive bliss. So all the embodiments that we see, everything that is created is happening only for this reason. To give love, receive love. To give bliss and receive bliss. That's all the Mahat Tattvam is. So when you understand it that way, what happens to the Ahamkaram? What happens to I feeling? That automatically dissolves in that, isn't it? Then we know that what divine play that is taking place. So where is the question of Ahamkaram? It becomes diluted and hopefully ultimately it will merge into it itself. So that stage that he reaches. And then when this yogi who has taken this circuitous path of not giving up his desires completely, but still follows the dharana and meditation, jhanam and all that, and goes through the purification process in the sphere of Agni, reaches as his heart expands and expands and expands with Shraddha and determination, he's following that. He goes through these various levels of consciousness and awareness. Then when he reaches this stage where he merges into the Mahat Tattvam, which means nothing but love, prema itself, the essence of what this selfless love is, becomes one with that. Then at that point, he has no return. He can never come back to any other level. That's what Ramana Maharshi said, I've achieved it. I cannot return from this. Ramana Maharshi experienced this. And so it is possible for each one of us to do. Then Sukha Muni says, O king, these are the two pathways in doing dharana, in holding on to the lotus feet. Either the quick one with immediate salvation, like where you hold on to the Bhagavan's lotus feet and then attain it immediately, or take the circuitous path of ever expanding consciousness. And then he says, Bhagavan Vasudeva himself described this, narrated this to Brahma. Okay. Now, let us now take up some slokams in the remaining time. Slokam number 25, I think, or the 22. Yadi prayasyan nripa parameshtyam vaigayasanam uta yat viharam ashtadipatyam guna sannivaye sahayeva gachet manasa indriyaihi cha. Yadi prayasyan nripa parameshtyam vaigayasanam uta yat viharam ashtadipatyam guna nivaye sahayeva gachet manasa indriyaihi cha. Number 22. Okay. Now, one second, hold on. Let me get the slokam here. Okay. Now, yada. Yada is a very important word. However, remember in 21 he talked about param gataha. But then he says, yadi, however, prayasyanne, having a desire, materialistic desire still left in you, of what? Of Nripa, O king, parameshtyam, in this world of appearances and disappearances attached to it, and some residual desire is there. It could be making $1 million, or it could be position, whatever it is, attaching to our family. So many things we are all attached to. Desires are there, right? And every time a desire happens, the mind goes into a complete chucker. I mean, we completely lose our peace of mind, right? But even though I reduce my desires, I still have some amount of desires left. So if I'm like that, Vaihayasanam. Vaihayasanam means the Vigayasaha, we'll see that. Those people, that's following the pathway of spatial travel. Now, I want to throw a word of caution. Spatial travel, that's a phrase that occurred to me in trying to describe it. But I want to be careful that it is not misunderstood. When we think of space, please do not think of the space that is physically out there. We know we call it as akasam, right? That is a physical thing. Here the Vaikhayasanam is the one when the heart expands and the awareness also expands. The level of consciousness also expands. People who follow that ever expanding pathway of ever expanding consciousness, that Vaikhayasanam, following that path, Uttar, people say, it is said, yet Viharam, where Viharam means they go through as the consciousness expands, the level of awareness expands, because our consciousness is now very limited to our body and mind. Therefore, we suffer. The moment I expand my consciousness to include another person as part of me, and this is something you can try out. Very easy. It is not difficult at all. And you will see, and the result is also immediately achieved. What do I mean by that? So if I think only about myself and limit my consciousness only to myself, then I have a certain level of happiness, certain level of misery. But if I'm expanding it to include it to my family, right? When my son does something well, or husband does something, or wife does, immediately we feel that happiness is generated, right? Even though somebody else, maybe our children may be doing something great, and we feel happy, even though we are two different bodies, because I have expanded my awareness and consciousness to include another body or another set of bodies into my sphere. I'm embracing it as part of me. This could apply to the dogs I have, whatever pets I have, and all that. Now, if I'm able to expand my heart and include other people who are so-called outside my family as defined by myself, if I'm able to include other people also, what happens to me? I become happier and happier. This is what this Vihara means. Vihara means it's a place of enjoyment, place of happiness. And your place of happiness is right here where you are. It's not different from you. You just have to expand your heart to be inclusive of more and more people. And then you'll find your place of enjoyment also expands. And when this following dharana, still you have to do the meditation and concentration to keep the mind under control and keeping it on the lotus feet. That slowly, as the desires are still there, that you achieve the space of ever expanding and you become much more loving. At that point, certain point, you get Ashtadipatyam. Adipatyam. Adipatyam means to rule, to master, to rule over, to control. And the Ashta Siddhiyal, the 8 levels of accomplishments, achievements, powers that are latent within. We have all the powers that Bhagavan has within us, but each one of them gets manifested as I become more and more pure and more loving. This level, Ashta Adipatyam, the 8 siddhis come under the control of this yogi. Now, for the sake of everyone, just to briefly describe what the 8 siddhis are, and then I think it will be time to close the class for today. The first one is the power that manifests itself where I can reduce my size to that of an atom. Very small, at whatever size I want. This is what Hanuman did when he entered Lanka. We all know the story. So that is called Anima Siddhi. Then I can also reduce myself to make myself lighter than even a feather. It can be done because it's all mind only. It's all only in the mind, and this I know has happened in practical life in Mexico maybe 10-15 years ago to a person that I know. So the soft feather, make it even lighter than that. That is called Laghima Siddhi. That's second one. Third one, now we have to go to different places to get different things, right? We have to get into a car and go somewhere and whatever else, or even to go to the moon, we need a spacecraft to go there and all that. But it's all in the mind. If I have the power, I can be present on the surface of the moon right now simultaneously. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to go and get something from somewhere else because I am there everywhere, wherever everything is. And that siddhi is called Prapti Siddhi. The same way I can become lighter than a feather, I can also become heavier than the heaviest thing that you can think of. And that is Mahima Siddhi, which is what Angadan did when he confronted Ravana just before the war started. And when Ravana tried to pull his legs, he actually fell down because the feet were so strong and heavier than the heaviest. Then as Bhagavan says, one thing we all know, you can create things at will, whatever you want. That can you will it, immediately it's created, and this is so beautiful to see and to experience. You're absolutely free to create whatever you want from itself. This is the beauty. You don't need any other material to create and all that. This is the Savita Devata, the creative power that you get. At the same time, you can also annihilate things that you want at will. This is called Ishitva Siddhi. Ishitva Siddhi. Then, after you create something, you also need to control it, right? If you just keep creating, things can get out of control. So the ability, the power to control everything, including all the 5 elements, the gunas, all the things created, everything. That controlling the ability, that power that manifests itself at this time is called Vasitva Siddhi. Then the absolutely desireless, to have no desires at all, not to be, because we all get frustrated by desires. Some desires get fulfilled, then they become greed and we get frustrated. If it doesn't get fulfilled, we get frustrated also, right? So without those frustrations, absolutely absence of that, this power that manifests itself, that overcomes this desire, is Prakamya Siddhi. And then another one, whatever form I want, whatever shape I want, I can take, as Hanuman did, right? When he went and saw Vibhishanan, he took the form of a Brahmin, right? And so, as an example, I'm giving you, and that is called Kama Vasayita Siddhi. So these 8 siddhis, this Ashtadipatyam, is attained at this point. Guna Sannivaye means in this materialistic world that is full of these various natural characteristics, tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic, the characteristic, the gunas, sahayeva gacchete manasa indriyaihi cha. Because this yogi is still doing yoga, the process of yoga correctly, but because he has got some residual desires still left about with the materialistic world, he goes through, gets all these siddhic powers, yes, but he also takes his senses, he takes his mind, indriyaihi cha, manasa indriyaihi cha. He takes his mind and the senses along with him. Okay? So he is not fully ripened yet, even though he's got some additional power. That's the first step that happens. Sukha Muni says, Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.